Hey there, and welcome to Comedians on Technology, People, and Drugs. I'm your host, as always, Sam Joseph, and today we're very lucky to have comedian Aarian Mehrabani with us. Hey, Aarian, it's really great to have you on the show.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, all the better for seeing you. And you're a very funny person. And I think our they say, on a podcast on a radio, you should speak to the listeners as if there's only, they're an individual. And that's probably not so hard here because I think we may only have one listener that we'll call Bob this week. Why not? Good comedy name.
Hi, Bob.
And I think, hey Bob, we're with you. We're hoping you'll stay with us for the whole episode. And I think Bob is there in the strange life jacket that he's in that he always wears, screaming and shouting, and like just he wants to know your comedy origin story, Arian. I mean, was it that you had sort of like a big spring for legs and a strange twisty moustache and jumped all over the magic roundabout of comedy? How did it all kick off?
Um, Weirdly, I think I have a very weird sort of route into comedy, but also stand-up. I went to drama school. I trained as an actor
Oh yeah.
at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama, um, and never thought I was funny, at all. But I started in 2017 when I was 18, and we graduated in 2020, which is a great time to graduate.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, we like lockdown was like I think a week before our showcase.
Oh
We went
no.
into lockdown, and so we graduated into an industry that just didn't exist.
Mm.
Um, and so for context, I am blind. And somebody, one of our course mates, or my course mates, Sam Brewer, he is also blind, and was we were chatting on the phone, and he pitched an idea for a show, and I was like, oh, like fuck it, like why not? I've got nothing else on. So we started developing the show, sort of made a theatre company, brought in Chloe Palmer, who was also in our year, and we worked on the show. And the show ended up being called It's a Motherfucking Pleasure.
Mm.
And I co wrote it and acted in it. And it turned out to be funny. It was a comedy. And it
Mm.
was like, oh, I can kind of do. I never considered myself a writer. Um, and then the play was on, and I was like, I'm still not a writer. And then the play got published, and I was holding a thing in my hand that had my name on it. I was like, I guess I'm a writer now. Um,
Mm.
but also, I guess I write comedy, and that's like a weird, yeah. So we sort of took that show everywhere. That show we opened it in 23 at the Vaults Festival, and then we did 3 weeks in Soho, and then we went to Edinburgh 23 with the Untapped Award, and saw that Edinburgh, and then we went to like New York, and we went to Boston and Washington, and
Wow.
all over the shop of there. Um, but in this is a great reveal for I don't know how many minutes we're in, but so in 2024, um, we started the year with 3 weeks in New York, and then 4 days after we landed back, I got really ill,
Mm.
and it turned out I had brain cancer,
Oh,
and it was really aggressive brain cancer. There was like a very high chance that I would die within the next few days,
wow.
and at that point, all I cared about was like, I really want to be remembered. But in particular, I wanted to be remembered for like my work and as someone who made good work. And
Mm.
I remember tearing myself apart, being like, oh my God, is motherfucking pleasure enough? Like, cause that show, like, was great and did great things, but like I co-wrote that, and like if I die, then all the others they'll go on to have careers, and I won't. I'll just
Mm.
be forgotten. And when I didn't die, I sort of promised myself stupidly. So I've
Mm.
always wanted to do stand up, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put as soon as if I get out of hospital,
Mm.
I'm gonna pull my finger out and do stand up.
Mm.
Um, and then while I was still going through like chemo in like October of 24, I the Lowry up in Salford were doing this like commissioning thing, and I, for whatever reason, applied saying, I'm going to transition into stand up, and I'm going to make my debut stand up show ready for Edinburgh 26.
Mm.
For some reason, they believed in me. and they commissioned me. So before I'd even stepped foot on a stand-up stage,
Wow.
I knew. So the first time I stepped foot on a stand-up stage was in April 2025, and I
Mm,
knew from that first moment I was like, I need to get good at this
mm,
because, and I need to keep working at this because I need an hour by Edinburgh 26, which
right.
in hindsight is a stupid thing to do.
Mm.
Somebody should have stopped me. Somebody should have gone, this is very lovely. It's very nice. And yeah, absolutely transition to stand up and do that. But you need to be going for a few years before you even think about doing Edinburgh. But
Mm.
nobody did. Nobody has until like the past 2 weeks where people have been like, this is pretty insane. And I'm like, you could have told me that before I put loads of money into Edinburgh and started making like you had so many opportunities to tell me this. And we're in July, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, it is pretty insane. It's pretty stupid. But that's how I got into it. It's pretty yeah.
Amazing. What an amazing story. Yes, goodness me, thrills and spills. I think the documentary on your ascent to comedy stardom is going to be, its own bestseller. Wow. And well, so then I guess you mentioned you you said at one point that you'd always wanted to do or try stand up. Did that, how far back did that feeling come from?
Oh God. I mean, it's actually so I remember very clearly in the canteen in year eight.
Mm,
Um, I was like with my friends and we were all talking about like what we thought we'd be when we are older and what we thought each other would be. My friend Tom said out of complete nowhere with no like previous context to it that like he thought I would make a good stand-up comedian. And
uh,
nobody else, everyone else was like, what the fuck? And then no. And I was like, yeah, that's insane. But it stuck with me that like,
mm,
oh, maybe like who knows? So I've sort of had that in the back of my mind since year
mm,
eight. And I've always sort of been a joker and I've
hmm
always done bits and it's sort of been a survival tactic for me, like
mm,
as a kid and as a teen. Um, and then yeah, drama school, I didn't think I was very funny in drama school because,
mm.
it's drama school. It does what they do, which is it breaks you down. And I left drum school much less confident than I came
Oh,
in.
really?
But we had like a week of stand-up training.
Oh,
And we had to do a stand-up in second year. We did like stand-up showcase thing,
mm,
which was just like for us. And I did a stand-up set, and I also did a bit of musical comedy with my friend Kedron.
mm.
And that was like that musical comedy was hilarious. Kedron lives in Wales now. I really want to find like get him back to London and record and
Hmm.
release it was so stupid. Um, but I enjoyed it. I wasn't like the problem with drama school is that it's very cliquey
Hmm.
and like I was friends with everyone in my year, but like there are cliques in drama school,
Hmm.
which like means that in comedy shows or in anything, you've got a group of people who will always laugh and will always cheer because they're like, yeah, we're gonna support you. Whereas I
Hmm.
was like friendly with everyone, but like I wasn't getting the same responses
Hmm.
because I didn't have like a group of three best friends who would like just laugh at anything, right?
Hmm.
Which meant that when I left drum school, I was like, okay, I'm not the funniest, so like
Hmm.
that just isn't even a thing that I can do. And then yeah, I mean the play, honestly, we started writing it because we were like, there's nothing else going on, and the play's about blindness, and we knew that we'd be able to get loads of money
You're
to
right.
develop it, which we did.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
We very much finessed the art of an application form and like being like, hey, you wanna pay us to develop this? And somehow we developed a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. No, bro, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And yeah, and so I'm interested. I mean, that's, oh, well, double fascinating. So So yeah, so the you're saying right back to year eight was where someone had mentioned that, and then the first time actually doing stand up was at drama school. But I guess I'm interested at that age, that early age. What was your understanding of stand up? Were you like who were the people that you were seeing on television or
Yeah,
on
I
radio?
mean, so I have always actually been fascinated by stand-up and have loved watching it.
Mm,
Um, I think as a kid, I would like be able to watch people like Michael McIntyre, I remember,
mm,
because he's family friendly.
mm,
Um, and I remember watching his specials, all of his specials, and loving them. And then um, I remember like as a kid, even in like primary school,
mm,
like coming out of my room when like my uncles would be around or whatever, and like in at like 11 or whatever, I'd come into the living room and they'd be watching some form of stand-up comedy on Comedy Central.
mm,
Um, and it then being like, no, 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 pause it. Like he can go out the like Aaron, go
mm,
back. And I was like, I was always so fascinated by it because I was like,
mm.
this is so and then yeah, I started watching like Live the Apollos and like getting really into like Stunner special DVDs, like obviously all of Michael McIntyre stuff.
Yeah.
Jack Whitehall's first DVD, I remember getting that for Christmas and just loving it.
Mm,
Um, yeah, just like DVDs got Peter Kay's like big arena show where he did the famous like song bit, and he's talking about like the different what he thinks the song's saying. It's like Michael
uh-huh.
Jackson selling burgers and Celine Dion's like hot dogs, like
Mm,
heart does go on. Um, yeah, really, and then I got really into like when I actually like probably from like high school, I've been so into watching stand up on Netflix. It's
right.
just it's one of my favorite things, and I never thought that I would ever do it,
Right.
but it's always been like I've always loved stand-up specials.
Yeah.
Like um James Acaster's repertoire was just on constantly. Like
Hmm.
loved that. Um and then like Nanette, Hannah Gatsby, like a bunch of like Reese, oh my God, Reese Nicholson, Australian comedian. He's so, I love him. Daniel Sloss, like just everyone. And then my favorite comedian is John Mulaney. I
Hmm.
think all of his specials on Netflix are just incredible.
Hmm.
But his most recent one that's on there, Baby J,
Hmm.
it's I think a masterclass in
Hmm.
stand-up because you're just watching it and you're like, this is just narrative, but this is it's just somewhere at the top of the game. It's incredible. And I remember watching it for the first time without even the inclination that stand-up was even something that I could do. But
Mm.
now that I'm developing my own show, that show is such a inspiration for what I'm trying to create. Um, I mean, yeah, I love watching stand up,
Mm.
really good stand up. I think, and that's where I sort of came to it from because I remember watching like again before being involved in it. I every year I watch the BBC New Comedian Award.
Hmm.
I can watch the finalists on iPlayer and love it. Um, and it's crazy now that like I'm going up to Edinburgh and I'm seeing like Anna Thomas is debuting this year
Mm.
at Edinburgh, and I remember I can't remember what year she was in BBC New Comedian, but I remember her set like so clearly
Mm.
when she was on. It was the same year that Daniel Fox was on.
Mm.
And she has this great like oh god the ukulele, and she did like a thing about like breakfast at Tiffany's and stuff. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. Yeah, I'm a big stand-up fan, and that's
Mm.
how I got into it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, so yeah, sounds like from an early age you were a consumer of the art form and aware of the art form.
Yes.
I mean, and I asked partly just out of interest. I mean, for myself, I think I kind of wasn't really aware of it or what it. Yeah, like it was a different time when I'm a bit older. Like
Mm.
these days with things like Live at the Apollo and so on. There, I think there's kind of there's a strong sort of stronger. It has a stronger identity. as an art form, and so you were aware of it as an art form,
Yeah.
and then. But as like you were saying, you didn't think you weren't watching it and thinking, "Oh, I'll do that one day." You were watching it and enjoying it, and then
Yeah.
you went to drama school, and then that was interesting. I don't know if we've had a few other people who've been to drama school on the show. I don't know that any of them have mentioned doing like a sort of a stand-up class, but maybe they did. I'm not sure. But that's really interesting because so then kind of you almost as a side effect of, I mean, or definitely as a side effect of doing the drama school, you were then just as part of your curriculum, right? Your first ever doing stand-up just to happen naturally. It didn't.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was just you have to do a thing on stage. That's a
Right.
part
Right.
of your thing. Because yeah, so second term, second year was comedy. So we
Right.
did a Noel Coward play. We did like 3 weeks of clown. We did
Mm,
yeah, like just we did musical comedy. We did
mm.
stand up stuff. We did yeah, and then at the end of the term, we had like a night where like we all performed bits. It
Yeah.
was so fucking stupid. It was so stupid. There were so many great, insane bits.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so many like
Mm.
batshit bits that people
No,
did.
wonderful. It makes me want to quit everything and do a drama degree, really. But the but then so doing that, and I sort of often put this to the different people, comics who've done drama school is asking about, the difference between, any nerves that one has going on stage, and I think by the time you've done a drama degree, going on stage is like it's a sort of a nothing really. I mean, obviously there's like difference between, bigger events and smaller events and so on. But I guess similar to doing the stand up as part of the drama school, doing stand up for that first time wasn't particular. I mean, you were presumably excited because you'd always loved stand up and you're like, cool, I get to do this. Was doing it in front of your drama school friends any different than just performing in a play at the time?
So I don't remember distinctly the drum school showcase being more nerve-wracking than anything else, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I I remember that like so when we started doing like it's a motherfucking pleasure and doing the play around, like
Mm,
every time we sort of go for a new place and do like Soho or off Broadway or whatever, there would be like the nerves, and then they would very quickly go, and I'd just
mm,
be able to. But the first time I did stand up, it was a Comedy Virgins. My friend Hannah, who's also our producer for Floorboard, came with her partner Jim, because the bringer, and I was shitting myself. I was
mm,
so nervous. I don't think I've ever been more nervous about anything in my life. And then, yeah, I got on, did it. People laughed, and remember coming off going, "This is the best feeling ever," and I love
mm,
this. And I think maybe a few more gigs like had a bit of nerves behind, but like now I just love it.
mm,
But then weirdly, like other things will still make me get super like so Floorboard, our company, our second show is called What's the Fucking Point?
mm,
We're opening in October at Bristol Old Vic. And we
mm.
had a rehearsed reading of it at the Royal Court back in April. And literally I was waiting backstage to go on at the court. And we'd sold out in like under 24 hours. So it was full full theatre. And I was terrified of a rehearsed reading where we were sitting around a table reading from a script.
Mm,
And I was like, I go on to I gig at most nights of the week.
mm,
And like I'm so much more vulnerable than this. But why is this making me so yeah, I
mm.
think the more you get used to something, the more you're like, ah, this is fine. And then when something's new, you're like, oh, this is this is scary.
Right, and that's sort of like the new thing, as in like for in that case, doing a new play, or a
Yes.
new bit, or like a new, yeah, it can kind of catch you unawares. Yes, yes. When it's interesting that you refer to, the first time doing stand up as the Comedy Virgins, when I guess technically you did it as part of the drama school course, but I guess
Technically,
technically,
yes.
but that's yeah, I think that's clear, isn't it? There's it's a totally different thing to be doing it in front of, a group of your, lots of folks that you know from a school versus okay, I'm going into some like random location and anybody could be here and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and there's also the sort of mental state of it. Whereas in a drama school showcase, it's like, okay, there are 16 of you, and you all have to do stand like you
Mm,
all have to do it. So
yeah,
everybody that's there is like the other years and the other
yeah.
courses and whatever, and they're watching us going, they have to do this. Whereas like Comedy Virgins, you
Mm,
go in and you're like, I have chosen to be here,
mm,
and I
mm,
think what I have to say is funny enough for me to
mm.
go up and do 5 minutes, which is a lot more sort of ballsy than being told, oh, okay, well, I have to do this, so it doesn't matter if it's shit.
Yeah, yeah, you're a lot more exposed in that you're saying, right, I'm kind of like hear this. I mean, that's often what I think Joel Walker was saying. There's something, when he was talking about doing a play and there's a script and so on, and your performance might be good or bad or indifferent, and but it's like you are not exposed in the same way. Whereas, I mean, unless you're doing a character act in comedy,
Yeah,
which some people do, but like the common form that we're all used to is a person saying, right, here I am, this is the real me, and here are several things I'm going to say, and then if you get immediate feedback that if people are then not
yeah,
laughing at those things, it's kind of like that is a direct commentary on you as a person, what have you. So yes, so
yeah,
it all makes sense there, doesn't it? But yeah, and I love what you're saying there. So sorry to I kind of gone off on reminiscing about other guests, but you was the best. You were particularly nerve-wracked before Comedy Virgins went on. It went well, and you came off with the best feeling ever. And I mean, it may not be possible, but I love to ask you. I love to ask everybody what was so great about that feeling. Can it be taken apart? It's like
yeah.
pure joy?
I think it genuinely can, because I was in control of the laughter, and
Mm,
that is something I've always, and it sort of can go back to a sort of deeper thing that I'm still working out what I'm going to talk about in my show. But like that, as a kid, I sort
mm,
of learned that, okay, you're blind, people
mm,
will make fun of you.
mm,
But if I if I make the joke, if
right.
I control the laughter, I feel like I'm taking back the power. And
Mm,
it's like I'm the conductor, I'm taking the baton, I'm giving permission to laugh. And
mm,
that's the feeling that stand-up had. What I was on,
right.
I felt like the conductor, and you are providing people laughter. And it just I
Mm,
mean, maybe psychologically it's probably a problem, but like the feeling of being like, I am in control of this room, and
mm,
I tell you when you laugh, and you're
yeah.
laughing because I said this thing, and like oh my God, it's just a power trip
It's a power trip.
that I need to unpack with a therapist, but it's fun.
It is a lot of fun, fantastic. And then so yeah, so that was April 2025, which is just over a year ago. And you were saying now you're pretty much gigging most nights of the week. Yeah, you
Yeah,
basically you did that one time Comedy Virgins, you were hooked, and I guess in while continuing, like I mean, you got the new show. What's the fucking point? You've been continuing to do comedy writing and developing plays and so on, but then
yeah.
also doing stand up as often as you possibly can. Is that how
Well,
it's?
yeah, and the other reason that I fell in love with stand up is because like I also thought like I'm still an actor, and like, but as an actor, God, you wait for ages, like wait for ages before you get an audition, and
Mm,
then you do an audition. It takes like it's such a you could be waiting years before your next role as an actor, right? And
mm,
even making your own work in like a theatre company, like Floorboard, we write as a team, so like we always have to like coordinate with other people, and like it
right.
takes ages to write. But then even when you've written the thing, theatres take ages to respond, like
Mm,
so long, and it takes a with comedy.
mm.
It was so liberating because I was like, oh, I control how often I gig and how
Right,
often I write. And every day I can write and refine and watch the video of last night.
right.
And then I can go out every night and I feel like I'm going to work. And
Hmm.
it's like I'm doing something. I'm in front of an audience. I'm in control of like this career path, which is something you just don't get
Mm.
with like other things that I've done.
Yeah,
Which,
yeah.
oh my God, it's yeah, the best thing.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, you heard it here first, folks. I think that, well, I've scrawled lots of notes. It's a wonderful story. I'm looking forward to the movie. But I think we should move into our second question, which I know that you're excited about. I'm excited about too. It's about how is technology affecting your life in comedy? And as I always say at this point, to the chagrin of some of the listen of the one listener, was it Bob? Sorry, Bob, you heard
Bob,
it before,
yes.
but technology can be a pen and paper. I'm using a pen and paper to take notes as I do, in every episode. But of course, the Zoom is technology. I mean, I'm trying to make a big tent there for that. You can talk about any kind of device or technique that you're using to assist yourself in your life and your comedy. And of course, it's all a subterfuge because I'm desperate to know how your process works and how you come up with the funnies. So answer
Oh,
as you see
yeah.
fit.
Fabulous. So let's start out with the pen and paper.
Mm,
That don't work for me because I'm blind.
mhm,
So
mhm,
I can't really do that. Um, I will say, like, that Sydney May, who's a friend of mine, was
mm,
on here.
mhm,
I can't remember how many weeks ago. Um, and her conversations are very good. She talked a lot about the things that I also do, but I'll just to like as a blind person, Sydney May is also
mm.
blind, by the way.
Yes.
As a blind person, like technology is all over my life and has
Mm,
been all over my life since I was a child.
right.
And I mean, here's the thing. I could talk about it for hours, but it boils down like first off, I was born at the perfect time.
Mm,
I think I was born in 1998 and lost my sight or was diagnosed in sort of 2006, 2007.
mm,
And so we were developing, like assistive technologies were there, but also things like the iPhone was starting to come out.
mm, mhm,
And oh my God, it is life changing
mhm,
when you have an iPhone and you're able to take pictures of a price and zoom in on it. Or you're able to, which is
mm,
what like how it started, right? But
mm,
now like my phone, I can point it at something and with like Gemini AI and
mm,
whatever,
mhm,
just
mhm,
point it at like a thing in my fridge and I go, when does this expire? And it
mhm.
tells me, and I'm like, when does this, how do I cook this? And it's like oven 220, 18 minutes. I'm like, amazing. Like
Right.
that, like genuinely, it's insane.
Mm,
Like I
mm,
can like the fact that I can scan letters, the fact that oh my God, like maps exists, like
mhm,
the you like so I can navigate with like and like I can have things read to me, like
mhm,
everything like screen readers and stuff is insane.
mhm,
But with that comes the real and also it's very liberating
mhm,
when because there used to be assistive and there still is assistive technology, which
mhm,
is like it's a device that is made for blind people. There's a giant
mhm.
magnifier or a giant electronic magnifier, and they're so expensive,
Right.
like more expensive than it really has the right to be.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
but you also feel so different and so othered because it's something
Right.
that you are using. But everyone has an iPhone. I just happen to also like use it to do other things.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
makes you feel so much more normal.
Right.
It's like everyone has AirPods in all the time. I
Right.
just happen to have AirPods in all the time because it means that I can at any point pull out my phone and listen to something and have something
Mhm,
fed into my ears. Like
mhm,
it's like, but the problem with that is that I think disability is a class issue more than
mhm.
anything else
Oh yeah.
because if you have the financial means
Mm,
to I mean it's not even just with technology, it's like if you can make the adjustments or like afford Ubers or afford whatever, but
mm,
like also like as a kid I was very fortunate that like I was able when the iPhone 4 came out, it was my first phone
mm,
and I was like I think it was like 13, 14 when I got that. Like that's expensive. That's
mm,
like I'm aware that that's so privileged
mhm.
and like so many people aren't able to access things that would be so helpful because
Right.
it is just like technology as great as it is
Right.
does sort of create barriers for some people. Um,
Mm.
but I mean, yeah, I adore all of the stuff that I use. Um, I mean, for comedy and for writing,
Mm.
um, so I set up on my phone. I've got an iPhone with an action button,
Mm.
and I have my action button set to record a voice memo. So whenever I have a comedy thought or just amusing,
Mm.
I can hold down the button. It's like a dictaphone because I hold it down and I'm like, either, okay, this is potential stand up thought, and I'll do the bit and I'll like
Mm.
say
Mm.
what I'm thinking, and I'll just be a stream of consciousness, or like idea for a song. So, sort of music, or like an idea for, and because it's so easy to activate it with that button, I
Mm.
just make so many. And then
Mm.
every month or so, I like go on my computer and I go through all the voice notes and I like
Mm. Mm.
categorize them. Um, but it's so great because like even when I'm like walking home, right?
Mm.
Instead of having to stop and like pull out notes and type notes, I
Right.
can just reach my hand in my pocket, press the action button, and my
Mm.
headphones are in, and I can just whilst I'm walking home just start being like, this is an idea for a bit.
Yeah.
Um, which is just it's incredible. Like
Mm.
and that's how I write. Um, like I'll have an idea for a bit. I'll basically do the bit,
Mm.
and then I sit down at a desk and because I'm a playwright first, I guess.
Mm.
Um, I write out my set
Oh yeah.
verbatim, like
Okay.
word for word, like a monologue. Um, and it's usually I write it from what I said when I was like improvising.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then yeah, and then I learn it. Obviously, I can't. I know Sydney uses like some audio cues, which is very cool.
Mm.
But also very much like a like can't use notes on stage. So I have to memorize it and I film it, and then I'm like, okay, cool. What needs changing? And I can like watch the video back and I tweak and um but yeah, that's the sort of process. But all of my, I'm such a data fiend. I
Oh
loved
yeah.
it. Like Gareth was talking about,
Mm.
Gareth Beavers was talking about like loving data. I
Yeah.
mean, I am so intrigued by his like Excel sheet of like how many people were in the room, how low the ceiling was. That sounds I'm gonna get into that. But
Mm.
currently I just have like a very detailed jokes Excel sheet of like bits, how long they are, whether they've been written, how many times I've done them,
Mm.
and how long they are.
Mm.
Because then it means when I like get a 20 or whatever, I can just open that sheet and be
Mm.
like, okay, you and then you and then you and then you and then that's 20 minutes. And
Right. Right.
I can put everything together. But I also have like many people, a gig counter, but it's a
Mm.
very like I get very into the details. Every set I do has like a line that goes into another sheet on Excel, which is like tables of how many gigs I do per month. But then there's another table of like how many fives I'm doing, how many tens I'm doing, sevens, 12s, whatever,
Mm.
20s, and then so I can see like the trends of what's going up, what's going down, and
Okay.
like the regions of the UK. I find that fascinating of like where
Ah.
I'm gigging, um, like what spots are paid, how much I'm getting, but like all of those things I find fascinating. And I've got a counter as well for how many hours I spent on stage.
Mm.
So like every time I put in like how long the set is, it goes into the hours spent on
Right.
stage. And then to keep myself humble, I have another cell of that like 10,000 hours to mastery.
Oh yes. Yes.
So it's like a hours till mastery. Like it's like 9,000 hours plus like to keep myself humble, but it also means that like when I'm like 50 probably or 60,
Mm.
my goal is that I will go on a tour that will be called something like during this tour I become a master because I'll pass the 10,000 hours
Wonderful.
mark.
Yes, amazing, amazing. So you're doing data mining on the gigs. Yeah,
Yes.
fantastic. Yeah, really interesting. Yes. Yes. Yeah, I remember we had oh gosh, I remember we had so many people on the podcast, I start to forget their names. We well, I said Simon Josh, he talks about using Notion in the similar way that you were talking about there, but like he's got the equivalent of sort of like a database in Notion where he can then like sort by and like filter for like clean or not clean or what have you, and basically given what the gig is tonight he can sort of
Yeah.
pull up the set of things that he has. I mean, I've got something similar, just hasn't got any funny jokes in it, which is my problem. But yeah, yeah. Oh, amazing. Yeah, yeah. And just to reflect back to you, yeah, what I was hearing. I mean, that action button and the ability to record that bit. Yeah, that sounds like you've got a real slick flow down. Record the bits. Write them up. Learn them, perform them, tweak and change them, and then I guess these are the things that are then going into the jokes Excel once you've performed them on stage, and then they get to
Yes.
tick up from there, and there is a big lovely flow. Wow, fantastic! I get one of I guess the one aspect of technology that we often talk about that we haven't mentioned so far is social media and things like that. Do they also play a factor?
They do. I mean, so I've never been a social media person. I've never been like opposed to it. I've always very much enjoyed it,
Mm,
but I've never been like a post loads of stories,
mm-hmm,
post loads of things about my life, post whatever. But when I started doing, I mean, actually starting like the acting career properly in like
mm,
21, 22, I was like, okay, I should probably start posting more because it's gonna help
mm,
and it's gonna whatever.
mm,
And then yeah, as soon as I started stand up, um, I was like, I knew I think I'd been told by a few people, but I also knew it instinctively that like you're taking a show up to Edinburgh, there's no like no one else is going to promote it, so you have to
mm,
build some form of presence on social media, and try and like post. So I used to just never post stories, never post like reels and stuff. I'd like have funny thought and then be like, well, that's a nice internal thing. Whereas now I'll have a funny thought, I'll record it, and then be like, okay, is this a stand-up bit or can I put this into a reel that I put up?
mm,
And I'm still I'm not good at it. I'm so bad with posting. I've like again I have an Excel spreadsheet of like reels and bits that I
mm,
need to film, but I just never get around to it. I'm typical ADHD as well as blind.
mm.
Well, like it just I get hyper fixated on some things and then the other things I'm like, no. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean
yeah.
the other thing with Instagram, I guess the problem like it's also the accessibility, and Sydney was talking about this as well, like that um certain things like stories, for example,
Mm.
stories just aren't accessible at all. Like a
Oh, really?
feed, you can screen that you
Mm,
can the people can either put their own alt text, which people should do when they
mm,
post, but also like things have got AI's got so advanced now, like the phones have built in that if it like sees an image, it tries to describe it
right,
to you.
right.
But yeah, a story though, like even if you've got text on your story, it just nothing is read. So like if it's a video, great, I get it. If it's not, if it's a bit of text,
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to decide basically whether I think it looks important enough, or you're a person that I care enough about to
Mm,
where I have to like screenshot the story and then
mm,
go
mm.
in and text analyze and then have it read the text to me, which takes like a few steps. So it
Yeah.
means I'm like, do I care enough to find out what you have to say? But if it's like if I'm logging on, someone's like got a block of text up, I'm like, there is some drama here. No one's
Mm-hmm.
posting a block of text without drama. So
Mm.
I will always that's a way to get me to read it.
Okay, good to know. Top tip there. Whereas, I mean, I'm blocked from stories for a different reason in that I just don't really understand what they are, just due to my age. Like I kind of basically get posts and reels, and then still this, I don't know, like this, yeah, the stories, they sort of exist in some nether realm that I'm kind of vaguely aware of. That just, I don't know. Yeah,
I mean, I actually, the ones that I can access, I absolutely love. The
mm,
idea that it's there for 24 hours and like I have friends who like, just make like little videos of themselves, just like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And like, I'm here. I find it so fun because it just
okay,
feels like you're catching up with somebody or you're like, yeah, always in touch. And it's a far less filtered. You can make it filtered,
mm,
but like, it feels like it's a far less filtered way to sort of keep in touch with people,
right,
especially like people who aren't like public figures who are just friends.
right.
And you're like, oh, I know what you're doing in your life. And like for people that have normal jobs, the things they post in their stories are the exciting things that they do outside their
Right.
jobs.
Interesting. Yeah, well, see, you're helping me understand this about this because what I've been confused about is that some stories do seem to hang around, but I guess the default is that they disappear after 24 hours. I mean, there was one which I think was just a picture of me jumping on stage from like 4 years ago that still seems to be attached to my Instagram account. I don't quite understand why but okay, yes, right. That's you're helping educate this senior gentleman. Wow. Okay. Yeah. And I was going to say, oh well, the other it's interesting. Yeah. I mean, just another angle on social media, just because it's been happening to me today, is I've been I mean, I've also got my own Edinburgh show as well. So it looks like we'll both be up there, and
Oh, fabulous.
I'm doing Ed previews. I've got one at the Museum of Comedy this Thursday, and I was posting on the Comedy Collective on Facebook to ask people about, what can I do to help ticket sales and so on. And I actually have got a huge slew of people giving me sort of like constructive criticism on my poster design, which I think that, it's kind of like, it's painful, but like, oh my God, they're right. And I've got to change the design of my poster. And, that's another, I think obviously in social media, it talks about, oh, there's, the posting of things for consumption. But that's something for me that, yeah, I think, well, it's a mixed bag. You can get into strange interactions with people online, but those sort of communities online via Facebook or what have you can be
Yeah.
of some value, I guess.
I mean, especially for comedy, like I never used Facebook. Like when I before I started comedy, like
Mm, mm,
I at the start of it when I was like 13 and I first got Facebook. I remember when we go to Alton Towers and on the 13th birthday and setting up Facebook and like everyone was on Facebook.
mm,
But then like Facebook just sort of died. But yeah, when I
mm,
started comedy, everyone was like, no, you do need to be on Facebook because all of the gigs are on Facebook
mm,
groups.
mm.
And yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, 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 all the comedians are on Facebook, so it's well, although I get that there's yeah, I think some of the younger people are maybe more on Instagram. Anyway, we should time rushes on. I think wonderful discussion of technology there. Let's move on to our third question, which I think you've already partially answered, as is often the case. You've already mentioned, your favorite comedians from the stratosphere of the big names. But
Yeah.
this third question is about which people have had the biggest impact on your life and comedy. And so this is a chance to, is it friends and family, people from the circuit who are not necessarily famous? Who is shifting you in your seat, shall we say?
I mean, like my best friend in high school, a guy called Danny, I'm talk about him in the show.
Mm,
Um, I don't think I've ever laughed more in my life than the
mm,
time that I spent with him because we just do the most stupid bits and it was such a fun few years of
mm,
just feeling like anything was funny and that we were both just on fire because we could both just which was like a real confidence builder, I think.
mm,
I mean, I loved there are like sitcoms that I grew up on and that absolutely formed my sort of sense of comedy. Like IT Crowd, I think is just brilliant.
yeah, it's great fun.
Um, and I was in love with Miranda. I was the perfect age for Miranda when
Mm.
that was on
Oh
TV.
yes, yes, yes.
And just I just loved it. Um, saw her actually that I think Miranda was the first stand up that I saw live, which is odd because she's not a stand-up, I don't think.
Mm, mm, mm,
But yeah, after the sort of success of Miranda, she had I can't remember what the show was called, but the poster I remember was her holding a cup of tea.
mm,
And we saw her at the I don't know, the Manchester Arena. It was called the MEN, but I don't know what it's called now.
mm,
I remember we were like third row, and it was
mm,
insane that she, like doing this. Yeah, um, yeah. I mean, who else has who else has influenced me in terms of? I mean, obviously the people that I'm in Floorboard, my theatre company with, Sam
mm,
and Chloe,
mm,
both just they're both so good and funny in their own ways, and yeah, I love bouncing ideas off them.
mm.
It's one of the funnest things, and just doing bits and feeling yeah, it's yeah, it's not necessarily a who's it's not an answer to the question, but I'm ending up going, I love my job. Like
Yeah, no, but
yeah,
that's lovely. I mean,
I love
I
it.
think that's absolutely wonderful to have people that you regularly collaborate with who, that it works well with. I mean, I did, as I've mentioned before in the podcast, was involved in theatre. Actually, I was at University in Edinburgh, and we did, like shows, theatre shows at the Fringe and different things. And yeah, well, I'm sort of I'm jealous because I don't know that yeah, like I think all of the different theatre things that I was involved in were sort of like random accumulations of different student theatre rather than like what you're describing, which is like people are saying, right, yeah, let's really get, in bed together for want of a better analogy. But
Yeah,
like let's do this and carry on collaborating and producing things and successful things as you've done. I mean, I think I remember the discussions at university of, oh, we could, like brainstorming names for theatre companies, and I mean, I basically went in a different direction, and other people went and set up theatre companies, but that's no, that's lovely and wonderful, and you've got your high school friend, but yeah, I mean, it's great to enjoy your job, and great. I mean, a lot of it about enjoying your job is about working with people who you enjoy working with, really, isn't it?
absolutely. It's yeah, it's all about people like the other people you have around you. It's
Yeah.
just which is a great also the great thing about comedy that like you're on a circuit with just some of the funniest people that you're like you're great and I could never do what you do and you could never do what I do, but like you're so good. Like yeah.
It is, comedy is a way to meet amazing people. Definitely, definitely. Well, let's go on then, perhaps from this to our fourth question, the penultimate question.
Yes.
Before the ultimate question, but the penultimate question is, how do drugs affect your perception of reality? And as I'm always saying at this point, well, I often forget to say everybody, do be careful out there with substances, just of any kind. Just because someone on this show talks about having had a particular experience with a substance doesn't mean that you'll have the same one. I think you've got to be very careful out there. But also, what I do usually remember to say is that by drugs, I'm taking big tent. Like caffeine is a drug. Potato, I guess, turned into vodka could be a drug. It's there's this kind of like big scare drugs, evil, big things. I mean, we're interested in the, all of these things, legal, illegal, the substances, whether it's caffeine or heroin or, antidepressants. And, that's the question. Like, is your body a temple? Are there substances that you particularly put in it? And if there are, how do they affect your perception of reality?
Yeah. I mean, so I've never been a drug taker. I think just from where I've grown up and how I've grown up, I've never been a sort of yeah,
Mm,
like a hard drug taker. But I've always
mm,
been like since I was 18, I've always
mm,
been like a drinker in terms of like
mm,
I've always been like, well, I'm an adult now. I will wine. I love red wine.
mm,
And I never enjoyed drink. I never drank alone because I
mm.
just don't. I know some people like it, but I just personally like I see it as a social thing.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, but so the whole cancer situation
Mm,
meant that I became far more au fait with I was on a lot of drugs,
mm,
a lot of things that were like when I was in hospital, like a fuck ton of things were like put in the cannula to like
mm,
stop the sickness, and because the way the tumor was on the back of my brain
Mm.
was the bit that controls balance and nausea. So I
Oh dear.
just threw up all the time and
Oh
still
dear.
do, to be honest. I like on a cocktail of drugs that I have to take every morning to like
Mm.
try and curb that. Um, but I remember very distinctly being in hospital and they put me on a new um anti-sickness like thing that was a drip, right? And it was really helping. But I was like, while I was on it, I was like, I'm high. Like I am
Mm.
so high. And
Mm.
I was like, when doctors come over and they're like in the mornings and they were like, so how's it go? I was like, it's really good, but I feel like I should let you know that this is making me high. And then they're like,
Mm.
that's fine. And I was like, that's great. That's great. I am loving this. Um,
Mm.
I wasn't loving the cancer, but I was loving the drugs.
Mm.
Um, and then yeah, like I've been on just a cocktail of drugs
Mm.
um to try and ease the sickness and the
Mhm.
balance stuff.
Mm.
And one of the things I was on was, so I'm still on fair few things, but I was on a drug called olanzapine
Mhm.
um, that they eventually had to take me off because even though it was so good for stopping sickness,
Mm.
I say it was so good. I was still throwing up like 3 or 4 times a day,
Mm.
but it was doing such a good job. But one of the side effects is that like can they can increase your heart something, and my heart was not doing well, and they were like, "You have
Mm.
to stop this."
Mm.
But I was I think it was last year. No, it was in March. So I saw a show. This is such a tangent. But I went to the press night at the Kiln Theatre
Mm.
of a show called Manic Street Creature,
Mm.
which I had seen back in 22 or 23, I think, at Southwark Playhouse. And for some reason it had come back. It was at the Kiln. It's a piece of gig theatre and it was at the Fringe. Very good about bipolar disorder.
Oh yeah.
And like it's a one Mermina Memon is the sort of writer and is on like does the show. She's
Mm.
amazing, but yeah, so but it's through with the lens of like her partner has bipolar, and it's like how she's affected by those things. And I remember I don't know, it was such a stressful week. Um, in March when I went to the press night. This thing, I was sat
Mm.
at the back of the seat was at the back of the theater, and the lights went down, and I was just crying the entire time. It was so good.
Mm.
Um, but there was a moment where like it was all like everything was building, and like she was like talking about something, and then she was talking about a drug that her partner was on that was changing him,
Oh yeah.
and she went, "It was olanzapine." I was like, fuck, I was taking that.
Uh-huh.
That's an antipsychotic. So the next time I went to like the cancer doctors, I was like,
Right.
so I was on olanzapine. Is that an antipsychotic? And they were like, yeah, so it is. But they were like, in basically that team at the Christie at the cancer hospital, they're a great team and they're allowed to prescribe drugs off what they are meant for. So
Right.
in small dose, like it is an antipsychotic,
Right.
but in small doses, it's good for nausea symptoms.
Right. There you go.
Um, which was just, but yeah, I'm like that moment was like, what the fuck? What have I been? I've not been questioning what I've been taking. I've not
Right.
been
Right.
Googling what I've been like.
Mm.
People just
Mm.
give me stuff, and I've just been taking it. Um, but actually, so since the cancer,
Mm.
um, so I didn't drink obviously the entire year that I had cancer because
Mm.
like one of the main symptoms has been balance and nausea.
Mm. Mm.
And I throw up a lot. So I'm like, I don't want to add. I'm not going to add to
No.
this
No.
with drink. And so I didn't drink for ages. I think the first time I drank was friends like after a gig, went to a friend's flat in Manchester, and we
Mm.
had like a
Mm.
bottle of wine. It was fine. And I was like, oh, this is kind of nice, but also, um, and I just haven't been drinking. And it's actually been so nice because A, I'm in bars every night doing shows, doing
Mm,
gigs, right?
mm, mm,
And it's so nice not to feel like you're in a bar, you need to get a drink. Like
mm,
it's
mm.
so nice because
Yeah,
otherwise, I first off, I'd spend so much money,
yeah.
but also I'm like, I've never been weirdly, I've never been on stage having had a drink.
Hmm.
Um, like as a stand-up, I've never even had that experience. I've always been sober when on
Mm,
stage.
hmm.
Um, and I've also like since the cancer recovery been getting really into the gym and like
Oh
working
yeah.
out and like partly because um I knew Edinburgh's coming up
Yes.
and I sort of need to train for it because
Uh-huh.
one of the symptoms of the cancer is that because of the balance and nausea, I if I move my head or exert myself too much, I throw up. And
Mm,
I was doing that before every gig, but I was also when I was sort of in February when I started running the full hour-long show, I was
mm,
like, oh my God, this is exhausting. And
mm.
every time at the 40-minute mark, I would go and throw up. And I was like, I can't,
Oh my
I
goodness.
was like, I can't do this. I need to build my stamina. So since
Mm,
January, I've been going to the gym like 3 or 4 times a week, like
mm,
building my cardio, building my because I've been
mm,
training for Edinburgh, and as a part of that, I'm like it's gotten so much better. But as a part of that, I'm like, why would I drink? Because I'm just fucking myself up for the next day.
right.
Like I
Yeah.
wake up the next day and you never feel good, and
Mm, mm,
I just feel good most days now. Um, like not I'm not gonna stop drinking forever. Like
mm.
I drink when I kind of want to. Like I drank a glass of prosecco at New Year's, and um I mean after after our royal court reading, um we're in the bar and I was like, I'm going to get a red wine. And I had the red wine. I was like, this is lovely. I'm going to get another red wine, which I shouldn't have done because that tipped me over into like
Right.
throw up. Like this
Oh
is
dear.
awful. But you know,
Yeah.
it's about your boundaries, testing the boundaries. But yeah, I've never actually been like big like I've never been a drug taker, and
Mm,
that sort of scares me more than anything, to be honest, like hard drugs.
mm,
Um, but also like yeah, I don't know, like even smoking and stuff. I like since the cancer,
mm,
I have even though so the brain cancer no, they have no idea why. Like
mm, mm,
I lived a healthy life. There's no reason why it happened,
mm.
but I'm now like, well, I don't think I could go. I don't think I could look at the doctors in the eye. I can't anyway, but I don't think I could look at the doctors in the eye if I went back with like lung cancer because I'd
Right.
smoked, or
Right.
if like in the sun I go out and I have to wear sun cream. I know like skin cancer or like the skin had nothing to do with the first cancer,
Yes.
but I'm like, I have to lather myself in sunscreen and I'm never going to touch a cigarette. I'm never going to, because I'm like, you just could not go back into the hospital and
Mm.
be like, hey guys,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm back and I did this to myself.
Right. Right.
Like, they were all like the team that I had was so incredible. I just don't think I could ever do that.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing all of those things. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I think that brings us to the ultimate question, which is, as you know, what does it all mean? The life, the universe, the everything. Some people say 42. Like that's that's old hat. But of course, some people say this question is too big. You can take it in the small of like, what's the meaning for you, day to day. But if you have any insight into like, is this some strange, alien simulation that we're in? Like, why does anything exist instead of nothing exist? I'm curious, what your perspective on everything is.
So, this is gonna sound so wanky, but this is just a me thing. It's also gonna sound so self-involved, but I realized through the cancer, I had a new lease on life when I came
Hmm.
out of it and realized that. the biggest thing for me is about leaving something behind
Mm, mm,
and feeling like I made an impact. So at
mm,
the moment, that's with my work. And obviously like the thing of like in whilst I was thinking I was going to die, being like, oh God, I'm going to be remembered. Have I done enough? Have I made
mm,
enough impact?
mm,
Whatever. And like deciding to make the show and do a stand-up show and whatever is 100%. It's but the drive of like I want to do something. I want to
mm,
be remembered for something and for something
mm,
that I say and have an impact on people. Um, and I think I'll continue to want to do that throughout my career. But
mm,
like at some point that I'll move into like family and into like kids and leaving
mm,
something behind and like yeah, I don't know. It's like for me, like I'm not a particularly religious person, like at all. I don't know. I'm agnostic,
mm,
but I'm like I don't think it necessarily matters for me
mm,
because like it's whether there is something after or not, it makes no odds that I'm going to have an amount of years on
mm,
Earth, and I want. And there are some people who exist and have great lives and then die and nobody remembers them, and that's
mm,
great and that's fine. And
mm.
you've probably made an impact on a few people
Sure.
in your life. You almost definitely have like made an impact on a few people.
Mm,
But I think for me, the real driver is yeah, get 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 some they do something that will mean something to somebody.
mm,
Um,
mm.
so that yeah, whether I live or die, what I did will yeah,
Right.
stay.
And then so and maybe you've done this like do you have a thought about the way that you would like to be remembered? Like if you could wave the magic wand, I mean, obviously you're working hard, you're doing lots of things, you're already
Yeah,
having an impact. I think everybody, yeah, everybody, as you said, is sort of remembered to some degree, but for how long? What does it look like? Like, what would it look like to have achieved the thing? Like, you know, is it starring role in a Hollywood movie? What's the shape of the
no,
thing that you would imagine would satisfy you?
I think it's the thing that I think I alluded to at the start, or didn't allude to. Deck, my director, mentioned this the other day, where like I in the script I was like, as I alluded to, and he's like, no, you didn't allude to it, you said it. That's not you didn't allude. But as I think I said at the start, like when I like had that cancer moment yeah like the first thing was oh my god I've just realized I want to be remembered but I want to be specifically I want to be remembered for my work
Mm,
and as somebody who made good work like
right.
and there are people who in just all sorts of art forms but also not even art forms like just other job who are like they were really good at their job
Hmm.
and they made something or did something of impact. And
Hmm.
yeah, I just love to leave behind a an idea that oh he was good at what he did.
Right, right. And then so, you're doing writing and performing and comedy. And so I guess from what you're saying, like if you can have a career of shows, which are, it's Aarian Mehrabani and people are like, oh yes, he did that show and he did that show and this show kind of like, oh, was all this and this show was kind of all this. A little bit like the way that you're talking about John Mulaney at the
Yeah,
beginning. Like
exactly.
if you can have that and it's like the sense that people were impacted, like emotionally, there was a meaning here, this sort of, vibe or what have you, that then you will look back and feel, yes, I left a mark, I left an
Yeah.
impact. Is that?
And it's also yeah, it's linking on from that. If I can again, I don't want to like I hate the idea of being an inspiration or inspiring people. I fucking hate that. But if somebody looks at something that I made or something that I did,
Mm,
and that has some form of reaction within them to make them want to do something else,
mm,
oh my God, there's nothing better. Like to
right,
to see something and be like, okay, like my work has influenced you, and
right.
that's lovely.
Yes,
Same
yes.
way so many people influence me. Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So and almost then sort of double down on the John
yeah,
Mulaney.
yeah.
You're being influenced by him, and if then you can create something that will influence the next John Mulaney,
Yes,
then
exactly.
yeah, yeah. I
Yes.
know, fantastic, wonderful, wonderful answer. Well, Ariane, it's been absolutely amazing, and I think Bob is just beside himself, wanting to understand where he can see and hear, and just anyway, whether it's in person or online. For anybody, if they want to get out and see more of you, where should they be going?
Okay, so you can go to my website, which is aarianmehrabani.com. You can find me on like Instagram and TikTok. I'm at Arian M, which is AARIAN.M.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, so third company's called Floorboard, FLWBORED. It's spelled
Uh,
stupidly, really
uh,
fucking stupid. We didn't have any thought into that name. Um,
I quite like it. I mean, it reminds me. I came up with a joke based upon the that same floor pun the other day. So I'm loving it. Go on.
Okay, fabulous. But yeah, like on my website, I and my mailing list, I sort of post about all the things I'm doing. But the main thing is I'm doing my debut stand-up hour at the Edinburgh Fringe this year.
Mm,
It's called How's Your Head? And I will be at the Underbelly, George Square at 4:45 every day in August. So please, please come.
mm. Well, and I'll have to come and see you actually. Yeah, because I've got I'm just there the second 2 weeks in August. But my show's on later in the evening, 9 p.m. So yeah, I mean,
Oh,
I think you've
fabulous.
got at least one solid
Yeah,
audience member in me. You got a friend and
thank
you got
you.
an audience member in me. Brilliant, brilliant, fantastic. Yeah, well, we'll get all of those links and dates and information in the show notes so that Bob and the people he's going to go because Bob's on a mission now to go out and tell and spread the word
Bob's
about
got friends. Bob's a good guy.
if Bob's your uncle.
Bob's
Yeah,
got a network. Oh,
indeed.
he is.
He
Yeah.
was one of those uncles who was watching the comedy and you wouldn't let you see it on Comedy Central. You're like, oh no, now I'm going to appear on Comedy Central. Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, yes. So I kind of jumped in there with all sorts of things. Was there anything else to mention promoting yourself?
um, no, I mean, so again, just fucking mailing list, Instagram. But I'll at the end of the year, I'm in. Weirdly, I've got my first like TV acting role, but will come out at the end of the year, which is
Ooh.
in a new Channel 4 drama
Ooh.
called Hunting Alice Bell.
Wow.
David Baddiel is the writer. Simon Pegg stars in it. Um, yeah, we filmed it in Dublin last August. It was so much fun, and yeah,
Amazing.
it's coming out at the end of this year, so that'll be fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, thanks everyone. And remember, you can help support comedians or technology people by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts. I think they could go up to like, 7,000 stars now. We could do with it. 7,001. Push the envelope. Also, follow us on Spotify. Yeah, which gets us up the algorithm and we can get into more ears besides just Bob's. And, you can add questions and comments there. And we love getting those. That's great. So great to hear about you enjoying the previous shows. And we look forward to being in your brains again soon. Last word to our fantastic guest, Aarian Mehrabani.
Um, Hi. That's the last word.